Welcome to Prison Professors, where we are always striving to present information that will both inspire and educate people who are either going into the prison system, who are in prison, or coming out. Today, we get to listen and learn from Dr. Kenneth Green, a man who did go to prison for a serious crime, spent significant amount of time in prison, but he has come out and now he is a doctor, he is a servant leader, helping people achieve their highest potential. And we're going to learn a little bit about Dr. Green and what his mindset was while he was in prison, what he recommends to other people, and how you can incorporate the strategies that he lives by to come out successfully. So Dr. Green, thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. I know you're a busy guy, but I'd love it if you would tell our audience a little bit about your background and what you were doing before you ever encountered the criminal justice system.
Okay, thank you. Well, actually, I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You know, the Steel City. I came out to after I graduated from the University of Pittsburgh. I came out to California to go to graduate school at Fresno State. I spent 2 years in graduate school there and loved it. You know, I'd never been to the West Coast. I'd never really been to anywhere. But when I came out here, I had to acclimate myself to the California lifestyle. And it was kind of tough for me coming from the situation that I was in back east. But I did finish the school. I got a job working for ABC at a local television station called KJEO TV. It was like my first professional job, and I loved it. I worked there for 6 years as a news photographer, and basically my job was covering death. I was chasing death. That's what I had to do. I was sent on stories up and down the coast. I mean, wherever there was a newsworthy story, I had to go on it. And it was thrilling. It was really a thrilling job. But it got to me one time when I actually had to film a little girl die on camera after witnessing the accident. We witnessed the accident coming from a scene where a person was killed in an accident. And we were coming back to get it on the 12 o'clock show to tease it. And we witnessed the accident. And in the process of getting the kids out of the car, getting my shots that I needed, the little girl was on the sidewalk. You know, we had covered her up. We were waiting for the emergency crew to get there. And by the time they got there, I was filming the story and I was talking to her, you know, trying to help her realize that there was somebody there to help her, you know, to mitigate the situation. And she died on camera. And it kind of really, really got to me. And when I got back to the news station, I told the news director that that touched me. It was like enough of that. I'd had enough of that. And I decided to switch gears and go into another direction. So I went into radio advertisement, sales and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed that. But that was during the time when the big cocaine thing hit.
Okay. And, what year is that about?
I started tampering with that. You know what I mean? It was
1980s, late 1980s?
Yeah, that was in the 80s. Yeah, that was in the early 80s. And I started tampering with that with some friends, and it overwhelmed me. And I got a little lax in my lifestyle. You know, I was always working. I was like a working addict, but alcohol addict. And I did that for years, and nobody really knew it. But it ultimately consumed my lifestyle. And I got involved with some incidents here and there, you know, some misdemeanors there, some misdemeanors here. But ultimately, I wound up doing something that caused me to go and do a civil commitment program at CRC. You know,
what is CRC and what is the civil commitment program?
That's the California Rehabilitation Center.
Okay.
It's there for a 180-day term that turned out to be over a year.
Was that a criminal problem or a civil problem or just a voluntary problem?
It was a criminal problem that involved a situation where I did something that was really so stupid. I went to visit my ex-girlfriend's place, and I thought I didn't see her car there, and I thought that she wasn't in the house. Okay, so I saw some movement in the house. So what I did was, it kind of was suspicious to me. So what I did was, as I'm looking at one window, I see some movement. I don't see her car, and I'm like, wait, somebody's in here breaking in her place, or somebody's already in here. And I popped the window, and I stepped inside. I crossed the threshold from outside to inside. So that made it a burglary. And then they charged me when I raised my hand to avoid getting hit by something. She was inside. I didn't know it. And she was trying to hit me with something. I raised my hand. And I didn't have anything in my hand at the time, but I raised my hand. And they called that assault with a deadly weapon. So the judge, after he heard the case, it was a court case. After he heard the case, he said that he's not going to sentence me to prison. He said, there's no way this man is guilty of that. He did not steal anything. He did not burglarize anything. He did not hit anybody. He did not threaten anybody, even though I lost the court case. He said, no, you guys figure out what you want to do with him, but I'm not sentencing him to prison. So they made the recommendation that I get a psych evaluation. I got that, and the psych determined that I had a drug problem. And it really, truly was a drug problem because I had been abused as a child. My dad physically and emotionally abused me, severely. So what I did was I wrote a book about my situation. And
before you were in prison or while you were in prison?
I wrote the book while I was in prison, and I had it published when I got out.
So let's talk about that. So when did you go to prison?
I went to prison. You mean at CRC or
No, real prison.
Oh, real prison. That was in 2008. I went to real prison in 2008.
What types of decisions did you make that brought you into the prison system?
Here's what I did. This is really, really ironic. I was helping my niece move from a drug-infested area, right? She had gotten a position as a residential manager of an adult facility. So I was moving her from point A to point B. When we got her moved, all of her stuff moved to point B, the residential facility. We went back, and it was New Year's. We went back to point A, the first place. And when I got back there, she was scared to go inside because it was dark, and she's scared of puppies. So she asked me to, in fact, she begged me to go up into the place. So I go up in there, and when I go up there, I find 3 people in there that had stole all the little stuff we were coming back to get, right? I took a souvenir baseball bat. I chased them outside with a souvenir baseball bat. I was swinging it, you know what I mean? And one person got hit in the finger, but they were in there stealing this stuff. Now, these people are notorious. They like taking over bando properties. I'm sure you're familiar with it, right? They're dope things, crack addicts that go in there and they see a vacant place. They go in there and they kind of take over the place. Well, at that time, they were doing dope, and I caught them in the act. So I chased them out, swinging this bat, wound up hitting one person in the pinky. So anyway, as they're outside, they're on the phone calling the police, right? Now, the place is vacant. There's nothing in there. They're calling the police. I said, well, I'm going to wait here until the police come because you guys were burglarizing her place, right? My niece had, in the interim, had taken the truck back to the rental place. Mm-hmm. So I'm waiting for her to come back. So it takes her a while to get back. In the meantime, I'm sitting there waiting for the police to come. Half an hour later, they don't show up. So me and my wife decide to take off and go and meet with my niece over at the truck rental place. When we get there, we tell her what happens, and she says she'll go back and take care of it. 6 months later, I get stopped by the police. And I said, what are you stopping me for? They said, you know you got a warrant for your arrest. And I go, for what? They go, for assault. I said, assault for what? Assault with a deadly weapon. On who? And they told me who the people were. Come to find out that the people are, each of those people that were in that house are police informants. Okay? So we wound up this case. I get an attorney. I go to court and get an attorney, a paid attorney. Can I say his name?
I don't care.
Sean Norton.
Okay.
Now this guy tells me, oh, we're going to get this case dismissed. We're getting this tossed out. These are all dope things. These are all dope things. You got nothing here. They shouldn't have been in the place. They were never told that they could be in there. They were burglarizing. So anyway, we go, okay. So a year or so goes by. Then ultimately, he says, we need to go to court. So we go to court. He says, the people haven't showed up on 3 occasions. So I went to court 3 different occasions. They never showed up. On this last occasion, they're there. The courts or the district attorney's office had paid for taxis to go and pick up these people, these dope things. When they got into court, right, they were explaining their situation. They said that there was a party going on. Now, they never got in touch with my niece, and my niece lived right in the neighborhood. Nobody had ever approached her, and she even said it. Nobody came to see me. I have an affidavit to that effect to prove it.
So walk us through. It's more important to talk about what brought you to prison. Did you get convicted? And then
I got convicted.
Let's get in there. You got convicted.
Yes, sir.
Everybody knows this system is designed to receive. You got convicted, right?
Yes, sir. I got convicted for assault with a deadly weapon without great bodily harm. They sentenced me to 6 years. And the reason they did that is because the people these dope fiends told them on the stand, on the witness stand, that it was a party going on, and that if you release him, he's going to do something to us. He's going to come and get us. So if you want any more,
got it. So you go to prison.
I go to prison.
I need to hear about what you do in prison to make you come out so successfully.
Okay.
Because right now in our country, we got 2 million people in prison, and they go in for the same thing. Everybody knows that the system can bring anybody in. Yes. I want to hear what mindset you had when you went in, because there's a lot of ways you could have spun this. You could have gone in there and said, oh, I'm a victim. It's not my fault. You know, they put me in here. Or you could go in there and say, let me make the best out of this situation. And it sounds like you were able to make the best out of this situation.
Yes, I did.
That's the message I want you to share with guys who are locked up or guys who are going in, because they all know that song, right? They get sucked into the system, right? Everybody's got that story. What people don't have is, how do you overcome it? That's what I want to hear from you, Dr. Green.
Okay, here's the situation. Okay, I had a revelation. I had a major revelation when I was in there. I knew that I had to do this 6 years. You know, there's no fighting that. There's nothing I could do. I had to acclimate myself to the prison environment. And my mindset was this. I could either, like you said, spin this in the wrong way and be bitter and mad and just not do anything while I was in there, or I could take advantage of the system, the programs that they had in there. And I did just that. I took advantage of the programs. I got involved with the education program there because I'm an educator. You know, I've already been to college and graduate school, so I know education. They had a GED program there, but they didn't have really good clerks. The clerks weren't as educated as I was. So what I did was,
where were you? Where did you go?
I was in 7 different prisons in 6 years.
What level?
I was in a level 3, and I went to a level 2, then back to a level 3, and back ultimately to a level 2 before I got released.
So when you went into a level 3, which is a higher security prison,
right?
Tell us a little bit about the challenges you faced and how you were able to cope with challenges.
The challenges there was you always had the you got the gangs, you got the affiliations and stuff like that, and you have to wiggle your way through those things. You got to find safe places and environments to be in, because you don't want to get caught up in the madness that's in those facilities. And
not if you want to come back successfully, you don't, and that's what you did.
Exactly. So I knew that I had to use my skill set to find a lifestyle in there, and that's what I did. I got involved with the education program, and I stayed in there. Here's my mindset was. I treated prison like it was a male college, like it was a men's college, okay? There was no women there except for the staff, the females on the staff, and the female guards. But I use it just like it was a men's college. And my mindset said, okay, if this is a men's college, this is a time where you need to improve yourself at every level and then help people improve themselves. So what I did was, when I got involved with the GED program, right, I also decided to start going to advance my education. So I enrolled in this biblical study program, and also a program, a Master's of Christian Counseling program through the Bible College.
Did they have funding available for that, Dr. Green, or did you have to fund that yourself?
I had to fund that for myself, but they were really good about it. Because of my situation, they helped me. And that's what I'm really so proud of the Bible College for. They helped me in the process, because their program is that they make it affordable for you to go to participate in their programs, because they don't have financial aid programs available. So what they do is they charge you a monthly fee, and my family helped me out with that.
How much is the monthly fee?
It was like $175 a month.
So for $175 a month, you were able to access all of the curriculum and coursework. Tell us about what you were able to achieve. What was the end goal? Did you have a goal of becoming a doctor, or walk us through that?
Yes, that was my goal. My main goal was to go back and revamp my whole situation, to not deal with the secular lifestyle, to get involved with Christian studies and Bible studies and theology, because that was where my mindset was. I found my spiritual self in prison. So I wanted to highlight that and to be a model for people. So if I was teaching you in the GED program, in the evenings when I'm not at work, I participated in religious programs, so that I would have an influence on you on both ways, inside the classroom and outside the classroom. So I exercised my privileges that I had there. And it was really nice. It was a nice mix because I was able to inspire men. I mean, I helped over 100 some guys in prison receive their GEDs. You know what I mean? That was just like phenomenal. I helped them learn how to read, how to write, how to do essays, how to taught them how to do math. Their language arts skills were atrocious. You know what I mean? So we had to teach them that. We had to teach them about science. I wound up teaching about 11 different subjects. Okay, so it was really a nice thing, but it was all because of my spiritual self. I found myself spiritually, and I felt good. So getting up every day to me was motivation. It was like
You know, one thing I want to say to you that you're really giving some really excellent guidance and wisdom to people who are going into the prison system. But what I really like about what you're saying is you're giving this message of authenticity. You never ask anybody to do something that you're not doing. If you're telling somebody, hey, get your GED, you're doing it right alongside with them. You are paying money to go to school.
Yes.
You are avoiding gangs. You are avoiding problems by staying in environments that will separate you from those problems, whether it's the education department or the chapel. You're just doing everything you can to be consistent, to keep everything you think, you say, and you do in harmony, which is authenticity. And people see that and they respect that. And that's likely, I would argue, had a strong reason that you were able to overcome and come back so successfully. How long did it take you to advance from wherever you started with your education to getting your doctorate while you were in prison? How long did that take?
It took me pretty much 4 years basically to get, because I started the program, my theological studies the second year that I was there. And then by the time I finished, in the 6 years, I was pretty much finished with the doctorate. Well, on my way to the doctorate program. So when I left prison, I completed the doctorate program. But while I was there, I wrote 3 books. Okay, so I stayed busy. I stayed mentally busy. Spiritually, I was complete. You know, I was really religiously complete and sound. I knew that who I was the person that was devoted to keeping a stable life. I was in there, maintaining my common sense and my dignity, because I knew that I would get released. I know there's a lot of times people don't come out of those places. There are people that come in prisons that don't leave. And I was one of those guys that said, oh, I'm going to leave this place. But when I leave this place, I'm going to leave better than I was when I came in. And that's exactly what I did.
And you got the credentials to prove it. You got not only your doctorate, but as you said, you wrote 3 books while you're in there. Why don't you show us those 3 books and tell us about them?
Okay, these are the 3 books that I wrote.
Give us one at a time. Put one up on
the first book I wrote was These Eyes Know of Heroes and Horrors.
A little higher so we can see it. There we see it. That's These Eyes Know of Heroes and Horrors. Okay.
Yeah, this book is the first one I wrote. This was about my experiences when I was working as a news photographer, and all the wonderful and amazing stories I covered. Also the gory and bloody stories. So I don't want people to read this and start cringing. But it talks about a lot of blood and guts and some of the natural disasters and the stories that take place in California, the newsworthy stories. And, you know, I covered like 7, 8 stories a day, you know what I mean? And I love what I was doing. And I'm so thankful for ABC, the Walt Disney family, because they provided everything that I needed. They were such a wonderful company. It was amazing the things that they did, because when I got into that station in the day, when I first walked into that door, I never knew where I was going. But I knew that there was always going to be an airplane, a helicopter, or some type of vehicle available for me to get to a story of some type of devastation or tragedy. But it tells about that, and then it talks about the wonderful people that I've met, like Lena Horne. I held Lena Horne in my arms. I chaperoned her in the evening that she came to Fresno. Michael Jordan, when he came there, his first visit to Fresno, he was a friend of Rod Higgins and Bobby Anderson and Tyrone Bradley and them guys when they won the NIT national tournament. They were coached by a guy by the name of Boyd Grant, and he came up with this slow down defense. And these guys went to an NIT championship as a result of that. But Michael Jordan was Rod Higgins' roommate when he first came into the league. So I had a chance to meet him and interview him and spend some time with this guy. And he was a wonderful guy, just a really amazing, incredible guy. And you know he was destined for greatness because of his personality. The guy just had this really effervescent personality. I mean, he was just a really nice guy. And just all the wonderful people, like the like the Joe Montanas, the Ronnie Lotts, the Bill Walshes, you name it, the Henry Ellards, all the professional athletes in every sport, from football, basketball, baseball, Steve Garvey, Dave Stewart, Tommy Lasorda. I can keep running down the list of all the wonderful people that I met and the stories that I covered. In fact, I met even the president. You know what I mean? So that was really a wonderful, wonderful experience that I had. And I wrote a book about it because my kids kind of coached me to doing it. Said,
awesome. And what are the other two books you wrote?
And the other two was, the second book was this one called 3 Secrets Plus 1 Rumor Equals 1 Truth. And this was about a self-made guy. It's like my alter ego in essence, but it's about a self-made guy who left the East Coast, came to the West Coast, and finished his schooling here and started his business in the auto care industry and becomes extremely successful. But he hears about an old rumor from his brother and his friend back east about his 3 ex-girlfriends having kids. Each of them had boys. And the rumor was that the boys looked alike and they looked like him. So the chance was they could be his, but he didn't know it. This is a 25-year-old rumor. So he goes on a clandestine mission to find out, to get the truth about this rumor. And nobody knows that he's there. But he winds up befriending the boys, and it's just a book filled with these twists and turns, and it's just an exciting read.
And the third one?
This book is called Old Danny Boy.
Okay.
And this was spiritually inspired. It's about a little boy that comes to Earth on a quest to become a guardian warrior angel. He hangs out in the Golden Gate Park, and nobody knows who this kid is. In fact, they can't tell. He's so young, you can't tell if he's a boy or girl. But he performs these miraculous feats. In fact, one of the little boys that he plays with is a part of a special education program, school that comes to the park to play. It's a school filled with deaf, blind, and handicapped kids. And he plays and interacts with them. Well, one day, a little blind boy was climbing the monkey bars. Somehow he snuck away and he did it. But when he got to the top of the monkey bars, he slipped and fell. And when he fell, he hit his head with a thump so loud that you knew that he was dead. And when the crowd gathered around to see what happened, this little boy, his name is Danny, he snuck through the crowd, and he ultimately touched the little boy's head and came back to life. He sneaks away from the crowd, because he doesn't want to create a problem, right? And he goes away to a place where these 4 people that were in the park that witnessed it, there was 4 college students that witnessed it, they go in and question him about it. And he tells them his situation. But he befriends them. But the thing is, the tragedy is that there's a fanatic religious group that hears about this little boy and the feats that he's able to do. And they're after him. And they go on a manhunt to find him. And it's just all these twists and turns, this mystery, this danger, this excitement. They're just good read books.
Cool thing is, if you want to get these books, you got to get Oh Danny Boy. You got to get These Eyes I've Seen Heroes and Murders. And you got to see the third one, which is I can't see because your head's in the way.
Okay.
Is 3 Secrets, 1 Rumor, and a Truth. But the more important message is you're looking at a guy who is 100% authentic, a guy who went into the prison system, didn't cry about it, didn't complain about an unjust conviction or the lengthy sentence he received. Instead, he found a way to be productive in there. And why don't you tell us a little bit about how that productive journey, Dr. Green, prepared you for the success you've been receiving since you've come home?
It's really funny because, when I got released, there was these court-ordered mandates that I had to fulfill. And that was I had to participate in the anger management program, a behavior treatment program. I had to participate in AA and NA programs. So that was a part of my probation requirements. So what I did was I got involved with the probation department made a recommendation that I participate in what they call the Sacramento Community-Based Coalition Program for ex-offenders, newly released prisoners. So I had to do that program for a year. And that was sponsored by the Sacramento County Office of Education. While I was in there, I also became a tutor for one of the directors of education there, Dr. Mary Bell. And my association there led me to getting hired at the Greater Sacramento Urban League as the GED instructor and the academic teacher. So that kind of snowballed, and I was able to work there for 4 years. And in the process, I helped like 50 students graduate with their high school diploma or receive their GED or the high set equivalency test. So, and some of them with near perfect scores. The nice thing about that experience is that I touched so many lives, you know what I mean? And I mean, it was just a sense of pride. And then, when you're as a prisoner, all you want to do is give back. We're not into, when you get released from these programs, trying to make a lot of money. We want to be, our richness comes in the wealth of things that we can share. And that was my thing. I want to share and give back. I'm not worried about money or anything like that. I mean, everybody can use an extra dollar, but that's not my motivation. My motivation is that I know that these people out here on these streets can go through the same things that I went through if they choose to go down the wrong path. And I want to help prevent them from doing that and stay on the path of education, because education, along with good credit, is the greatest equalizer in America. It really is. Let's be honest about it. If you don't have a solid, sound education, your chances of being a success in America are kind of limited. Not that you need an education to become successful. I'm not saying that. But an education really helps. It truly, truly helps you become a solid citizen. So the thing now is that I'm faced with the GED program and for some of the nonprofits in Sacramento, the funding was discontinued. So the Bible College decided that we should continue with the GED program. So we do it for free. And I do it every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 6 to 9 o'clock. And I don't miss a beat because I'm the one constant in a lot of these people's lives. You know what I mean?
And I think they probably identify with you because you were somebody who went into the prison system, you come out successfully, and you've become a role model for other people who are living in struggle.
Exactly. I don't like to look at myself as that, but I know that's the reality of my life, is that I am the role model. I am the kind of like the father figure or the person that they can look to and say, hey man, if he can do it, anybody can do it. And that's exactly.
I was just going to say, some of our audience is listening to this. Many of our audience are listening to this on an audio program while they're locked in prison. So they can't see that I'm recording you on video as well. This is available to our YouTube viewers. But if you are in prison, I want you to know what I am looking at right now. I'm looking at Dr. Green, a man who went to prison for crimes or for acts that probably should not have been responded to with a prison sentence, but he was never bitter about it. And if you could see the screen right now, what you'd see is a proud African-American man who is well educated, and it's evidenced by behind him. You see 3 degrees in frames on his wall. You see the cover art for 3 books that he published. I see a computer screen. On the left, I see musical charts because he's always learning. He told me that he is still studying guitar. He's a person that regardless of what bad things happen in his life, he wants to overcome by helping other people become better and stronger, and that's what fulfills him. So I just wanted to clarify that, Dr. Green, for people who cannot see you, that you are not somebody who just talks about doing right. You are a role model, because everything you're suggesting that somebody else do, it's very clear that you're doing the same thing.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, because you got to take this proactive posture today. You have to, because there's so many. When you look at the situation in America today, the criminality, what they call now is justice-involved citizenship, is tremendous. Everybody, there's a great portion of Americans that have been involved in some kind of criminal activity. And what's the ultimate result of that is either you're going to go to jail or you're going to have to find a way to turn your life around. And I want to be a catalyst to help people turn their lives around, because if I did it, I know you can do it. You don't have to suffer the extremes that I went through. You don't have to be behind those walls and behind those fences and subject to that treatment that you're involved in when you're in prisons. You don't have to. You can go the other direction. And my motivation is to help you. That's the point. We want to help you. And the guys that get released, that turn their lives around, they're not into this lifestyle of trying to make a lot of money. A lot of these guys come out because they want to help. They really want to help. And the thing the knock against us now is that if you have a felony conviction, you're no good to society. And that's terrible. You look at the guys that got released, like the Sean and the Authors and the Jarretts and this new guy with the Titan Company. We come out and we want to do something positive, like yourself. We come out, we want to do something positive. We want to make a change and be a difference. And that I'm not going to stop. I mean, they're telling me now I passed the CBEST test when I got released also.
What is the CBAS test?
That's the California Basic Education Skills Test for teachers.
Okay.
So as I'm working as a GED teacher, you didn't necessarily have to have the CBEST test, but I passed the CBEST test. They didn't give me my teaching credential because they're saying I had criminality. So I had to apply for the certificate of rehabilitation and pardon, but it's a 7-year wait because I was released from parole. I mean, released in 2013. So I have to wait the 7 years before I can get issued the actual certificate. I mean, credential. So I'm biding my time, and I'm going, oh, wait a minute. I've been labeled one of the better teachers in Sacramento, but I can't have a teaching job. So you're telling me that I'm not effective, that I'm not useful, that I have no part in society, that I can't participate? And I question you. Go and ask my students. Go and talk to my students and see how they've done. All of my students are either in college or in apprenticeship programs or continuing on with professional careers, as opposed to if they got these new charter school programs, where a lot of these programs are not effective. You check out the reading levels, they're at 3rd grade reading levels. You talk about their math levels or functioning skills, they don't have them.
I know that there's always obstacles, but you seem to always find a way around it. How are you earning a living right now if you're not earning a living from teaching?
My books, and I do other things. I do tutoring, and that, I mean, it doesn't pay that much, but it generates some income for me. And then I do all the odd things that I get paid for. The Bible college, that pays me because, I do recruitment and the general education development. So there's other little things that I do that are involved in education that help me pay my bills. And then my family supports me.
So what I like to show is that, I mean, there's always challenges. When we have a criminal background, there's always challenges. But it's people like Dr. Green that always find a way to make it through. And we heard him say, at least I heard him say, that education is really the great equalizer and getting good credit. If you can have a good education and good credit, when you come out, you'll find your way to navigate your way through these challenges. The bad thing is if you don't have that positive attitude that he has, because it would be so easy to get disrupted from all of these continuing challenges and revert to the type of behavior that can bring you back into the system. Dr. Green is a role model because even though he faces challenges, it doesn't suck him back in. Instead, he keeps giving back more. He's driven by this need to help other people achieve their highest potential, which is why I am so grateful to him for sharing his inspiring story to people in prison. Dr. Green, we only have about 30 minutes for each one of these episodes, so I apologize for kind of pushing you through this, but I just really wanted people to hear how you overcame. And we're at the end of this episode right now, so what I'd love for you to do is give like a final word of hope and inspiration to people who are locked up and people who need to learn from great leaders like you.
Here's what I would say to anybody. If you're in a situation like if you're in prison or incarcerated, find a way out of that mentality. If it takes studying, find something that you're interested in and lock onto it. If you're interested in math, if you're interested in finances, if you're interested in reading, if you're interested in a trade, a skill set, get your skill sets down. Solidify your foundation, lay that groundwork so that when you get released from there, when you come out to this real world, you have an opportunity. You have an ability to share that your expertise with the world, because it's tough out here. I'm telling you, it's really, really tough out here. And they're not going to play games with you, because those knocks against you with your criminal, your justice involved citizenship is real. And you can't play with this system out here. You've got to come out with a skill set. If you don't, you're going to wind up at a McDonald's. And it's not bad working at McDonald's because they're paying almost $15 an hour. But the point is, you'll be locked into a position with McDonald's. There's a lot of jobs out here that you can get if you have the skills. Now, with the computer and electronic industry right now, if you get your foundation down for that, you can come out and get great jobs in that. You really, really need to solidify your skill set. And if you don't, you're wasting your time in there. You're really wasting your time. And then you really need to work on your financial situation. Understand the financial literacy, because I'm telling you, with good credit, it's the equalizer in America. You can do a lot of things because you need a place to stay. You need food on your table. You need clothes on your back. And if you have children, that's another responsibility. You got to look at those realities. And once you understand that this is what I got to do as a man, you can find your way around in this world, because nobody, when you get out of that institution or those institutions, is going to give you a dang thing. There's no programs out here like they say when you read in there, oh, you're eligible for this and you're eligible for that. You're not. It doesn't exist. Believe me, you're going to have to find your way around. And if you don't have a good skill set, you're just going to suffer. You're going to be possibly inclined to go back and lead the life that you came from. And nobody wants to do that. You don't have to do that. And those industries, those prison industries, have enough programs inside those facilities, inside those walls, to help you to get a foundation. They do. I'm telling you, I took advantage of them. And look at me. I did it. And I'm out here and I'm still doing it. And I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to still share, and I'm going to keep striving until I can find my fulfillment. I'm not trying to get rich. I'm trying to be effective.
So, Dr. Green, we thank you so much for giving that information. And the final takeaway I'd like to share with you is, even if you don't have the money to get those extra credentials like a PhD, you can still learn, like Dr. Green said. You can read, you can learn to write, you can improve those skills, and they will help you cross the barrier and get into an effective employment and advance your life, just like he is doing, just like so many other people are doing. And we will bring another inspiring guest onto our program tomorrow. But I really encourage you to read Dr. Green's books, Oh, Danny Boy, These Eyes I've Seen Heroes and Horror, and the third one is say it to us, Dr. Green.
3 secrets plus 1 rumor equals 1 truth.
Excellent. And you will see that he is the real deal. He's not asking anybody to do anything that he hasn't done. We can all learn from somebody, a leader like him. And I thank you so much for spending this time with Prison Professors. We'll be back tomorrow with another inspiring guest. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Appreciate it. All right, Michael, keep up the good work, man.